My name is Tony Saragella, and we are Kōn Artisan Ice Cream in Estevan, Saskatchewan. Right now, we bake a lot of the items that we put into our ice cream. So we have some brownies, we have artisan style cookies, which is a New York style cookie that you're not likely to find anywhere else. We're just getting ready to roll out some coffee. We have milkshakes, floats, we do some sundaes, but our specialty is really hand scooped ice cream. Well, Kōn started as an idea decades ago, once the Grundine family creamery wound up closing. At the time, nobody realized how good the product was that the Grundine family produced in Estevan. So we wound up with a situation where the creamery itself, once it closed, the product that was brought in by the new owner was nowhere near as good. So my idea was to try and rekindle the old ice cream that a lot of us, my age at least, grew up on, and to introduce it to the younger generations that have never had a really good quality artisan style ice cream. When you're dealing with ice cream shops that make their own ice cream, there's really two things that make a difference. One is the air, and the other one is the butterfat. We use higher butterfat, less sugar. Same thing happens with air. We don't put as much air in our ice cream as other places do. What we try to do is we try to make our ice cream so that it's very, I don't want to call it very dense. It's just whipped less air into it, so it gives you that richer mouthfeel. It has less preservatives, so it melts differently. You can melt our ice cream, it'll turn into milk. It's not going to turn into a fluff that just sits there. Another thing is the inclusions. Like, we tend to use real fruit. We bake our own inclusions that go in for most part. The only thing we don't bake is Oreos and Fudgios, but everything else is pretty much done in-house. So it's very different from what you will get almost anywhere else. The story behind the name was one that was quite simple. I had gone to the World Juniors in the Czech Republic, and I remember when I was walking from the bus to the tram, to get on the tram to go to the arena, there was a shop in the background that I would walk towards every day, and it just had a really simple name on it. It just said coffee. There was no doubt you knew what they sold. So originally, the name Kōn came because I wanted something simple. So the original idea for Kōn was C-O-N-E, and when we registered the name, because it was available, the registrar didn't accept it. So I was texting my friend in Finland, and he said to me, well, why don't you call it Kōn in Finnish? So when I Googled Kōn in Finnish, it came up a word that nobody here would understand, and he was laughing on the other end, and I said, okay, that's not funny, but underneath the spelling of Kōn was the phonetic spelling for Kōn, which is K-O with a macron and the N. And I said to him, Lars, you may think this is foolish, but you just gave me the name for my store. And that's how the name came about. But I wanted it very simple. We have a lot of trees downtown Estevan, so when you drive by, you don't see the sign. The thing I wanted with Kōn was I wanted something that would be different. My whole philosophy is different and better. So I wanted it to be something that you wouldn't find anywhere else. I wanted it to be something that you walk in and it would transform you to another location. I didn't want people to walk into the store and say, oh, it's 4 walls, it's painted, it's done. So because it was artisan, it was unique, handcrafted, I thought the building and the ambiance of the interior had to be something that when people walked in would go, wow. I wanted people to understand that this store could be put down anywhere on earth, globally, and it would be one of the best stores that you would find, one of the nicest stores you would find, one of the most unique ice cream stores you'd find. So today we're going to make our butter cake ice cream. This is the ice cream base, and it's specially made to our recipe. Again, it goes back to the fat content versus the sugar versus the air. Those are the 3 things that you really control. Mix is in, flavors are in, and now we just hit start and it's going to be loud. Okay, so this is our butter cake that we use to put into our butter cake ice cream. As we said, we try to bake or make as many of the inclusions that we put in our ice cream by ourselves. I made this a couple days ago. put it in the freezer to get it cold, and now we're just tearing it apart so that we can throw it into the ice cream and people can come in and enjoy one of our most unique flavors. So this is the ice cream coming out of the machine. It is edible, but not necessarily ready to eat. It needs to go in the freezer, so it's a little bit harder than what it's coming out of the machine. And now what we do is we just throw in our inclusions to make sure that people get flavor in every bite. I know people at home can't smell this because we haven't invented smell-o-vision yet, but it really does smell like an amazing cake. So because our name is Kōn, what we wanted to do is wanted to offer the customer experience of making homemade waffle cones. So we make our homemade waffle cones and waffle bowls for those of us that always drip ice cream on the front of ourselves. And we use that to feature our ice creams. And as I said before, I think the most crucial flavors in an ice cream shop are vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. If you can nail those three flavors, then you know you've done a really good job of making ice cream. It was always an idea of doing something later on in life that wasn't intensive as it was when I worked at the restaurant. It was something to be fun, and ice cream is fun. And I think later on in life, when you get older, you really want to do a lot of things that are fun in your life. You don't really want to spend your time doing things that are monotonous, tedious. Not saying that the food industry is monotonous or tedious, but it gets really tiring. But watching people come in, have fun, watch kids come in with their parents, eat ice cream, enjoy themselves, put smiles on people's faces. Like I tell my staff, we're just selling smiles and happiness here. Like, that's all we're doing. Like, it's not a really complicated business. It's just really a simple business done really well, which is one of the hardest things to do, believe it or not. The simpler things are harder to do really well. In many ways, I would just like more people to be able to enjoy it. I would love for people to be able to have this ice cream everywhere. Do I think my ice cream is so much better than a lot of other places? No, but it's really, really, really good ice cream. So the goal is to get into as many hands as we can over the next 5 years. And the goal is to make sure that we just keep putting smiles on people's faces and make them happy.